Hey there, fellow citizens of the internet. Welcome to the Moses Kabandana Podcast. Today, I have with me Daniel. He's calling in from Denmark. Daniel, welcome to the Moses Kabandana Podcast.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. So, well, give us a quick intro. Like, who are you? What do you do? And why are we doing this episode?
Absolutely. So in 2016, I started a company called Passion for Achievement where we help people essentially figure out what it is that they want in life. And then we kind of reverse engineer that and build some habits around consistently progressing towards that vision of life, you could say. I also have a couple of books, have some ebooks, and yeah.
Okay. What led you to start the company? Why not, let's say, join a company instead? Like, why start one instead of joining one?
Well, I think to explain that one, I think we got to go way further back. I had
Okay.
a past that was very interesting. I know you and I talked about sharing a little bit about that, which is
Yeah.
very exciting for me, but also a little, yeah, it's good for me to talk about. But so when I was younger, I was a little off track in my life. I didn't really
Mm.
go to school when I should. I was hanging around with the wrong people. Eventually, that led to, we're talking drug abuse, we're talking hanging around just criminals, and really didn't do well in life in just about every way possible.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really bad. And it just got worse and worse and worse, as it often does with those things, with addiction and with crime. And it was just a bad thing. And eventually, when I was in my late teens, I was at a point where everything was just like I gotta try something different. I had,
Mm.
like I said, issues with drugs. I was not working. I wasn't going to school. I wasn't doing anything, and so I knew that this was gonna end bad. This was gonna be a very, very, very bad thing. Uh, I remember being at a vacation home with a bunch of my friends. I think we were like 7 or 8 guys my age,
Mm.
and one of them came up with this fun little idea that we should make a bet on how old are we going to be. Some people said 80,
Mm.
some people said 90, and I was just stone cold. I said 21, and I was 20 at the time, and they were
Mm.
like, come on, Daniel. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's no way I'm 25 ever. And so
Mm.
it was at that point where it's either I go ahead and build a great life, or this is going to be very bad very soon.
Mm.
And I don't know why this one I don't know why, but for some reason I felt like I'm either going to build a world class life where I have everything. I will be the best version of myself I can possibly be,
Mm.
or why bother? And I'm not
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
that should be the go to for everyone else to just either give up completely or be superhuman, but that was kind of how I felt, and so
Mm.
I decided to go all in for my family, for my friends, and for me in a way as well. So what I did was I started just every Christmas, every birthday, I would just be wishing for personal development books, books on success,
Mm.
books on learning from failure, books on setting goals. Um, I started working actually as a full-time cashier, and then often at night I was working as a dishwasher on top of the
Mm.
full-time cashier job. Every single dollar I made that I could, that didn't go to food and whatever, I just put into learning and educating myself on personal development. I was going to be the best version I could be,
Mm.
um, and it just worked. And I just started taking my health seriously. I started setting goals. I started visualizing the kind of life I had. I started having a vision. I started getting good at the things I needed to get good at to build the life that I wanted. And so yeah, I started getting results from that. And so then oftentimes entrepreneurship and personal development is kind of connected. A lot of entrepreneurs want to be the best versions of themselves, and a lot of people that want to be the best they can be are attracted
Yeah.
to entrepreneurial projects. So that's what happened to me as well. I started, on top of my personal development stuff, I started studying how can I help people, how can I build a business, and then I learned a little bit around that, and I figured the only thing I can really sell or help people with is the personal development journey. And then I just started slowly but steady, just putting things into little PDFs or little video trainings or whatever, and I started sharing them with people. And it felt great. Eventually, I wrote a book, which actually became an Amazon bestseller in 3 different categories, and people started wanting more, and so I built a Facebook group for the readers of that book, and they started
Yeah.
wanting courses and stuff like that, and I kind of just built passion for achievement off of that momentum, and I've been doing that ever since. Yeah.
Wow, it's an amazing journey. It's an amazing journey. Let me dig a little bit deeper on what was happening before the tragedies, before going off the beaten path, so to speak. What do you think led you to hanging around with the wrong crowd and drug abuse? Do you think was it the lack of structure? Was it that you were looking for an example and you didn't find an example? I mean, like what have you thought about? Like what took you there?
Yeah, and I think actually this
Yeah.
one may be a pretty simple answer. Actually,
Okay.
So first of all, I lost my my father when I was very young. Like he was sick, cancer,
Okay.
until he died when I was 11 years old. So I think that's definitely what kind of started it. Because then when you're 11 years
Okay.
old, and for the last two years, you've come home from school every day just watching your hero cry and so I think,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely that's when I I wouldn't really what's the word in English? I wouldn't really have the capacity to like focus on school. I wouldn't
Yep.
want to be that social, at least not with all of the people that were capable of school and being normal, right? So obviously I
Yeah.
was also more emotional, had more of a temperament, I was more violent.
Yeah.
And then when you find people that are similar, when I was 12, 13, 14, I was hanging around people that were already doing drugs already.
Yeah.
Some of them had guns, which, by the way, in Denmark, I know in the US it's pretty easy to get a gun, but in Denmark, the only people that have that are like really messed up people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it just, yeah, it started
Mm.
partying a little bit, to feel better, try a little try some drugs, like I said, and then that became, what started out being, we'll do that once in a while on a Saturday or Friday night, became, it's Tuesday, but whatever, let's do it anyway, right? And then it just
Yeah.
becomes so yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, man, personal development. It's a big umbrella term, right? Personal development, and I feel like a lot of people are almost tired of hearing that term because there's so much junk on the internet, so many courses, so many this, so many that, but there's very few of them have any depth to them, right? Everyone's going to say something to the effect of, you need to build good habits. You need to, but even just in that term, building good habits, there's been like many books written on building good habits. So the point that I'm trying to get to is that there's a lot of fluff out there, a lot of nonsense information. How did you find useful information? I know you said that you read books, right? So maybe you can go into what books you read, and once you found good information, how do you go about implementing that good information, right? Because there's a big distance between our conceptual understanding of something and the practical implementation of that understanding. So I don't know if that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, 100% makes great sense. And I first of all, I just want to
Okay.
agree with you that there's so much personal development out there, which can basically mean anything. The word personal development, right? It's so
Right.
vague,
Right.
and also much of it doesn't really work too much. Um, how did I figure out what was the right things to study? I feel like I met a lot of fluff as well. I feel like
Mm,
every time I had studied, let's say I put 100 points into personal development, maybe five
mm,
of them was a positive return on investment. The rest was fluff, or the rest was a waste of time or waste of money or whatever. So I
okay.
wouldn't say I just went straight to the good stuff and just. I would more say I had a problem, which would maybe be facing adversity or a lack of clarity or whatever, and I would
Mm,
study everything I could on it, and then I would find that, well, this doesn't make sense, and this is not helpful. This is just motivational. It's not practical, and this is not great. But this right here,
mm,
this makes sense to me. I'll try that, and then my entire life would change in ways I can't even explain. You know, and I would be like, okay, this one right here,
okay.
I'll show to my family members or my friends or whatever,
Yeah.
and it works for them. Okay, this is something I'll put into a book or a course. So
Huh.
yeah.
Can you give an example of a book or a source of information that you found useful? And then can you elaborate a little bit more on why did you feel the need to share? It sounds trivial to ask this, but why did you feel the need to share with other people to see if they have the same outcome as you?
That's a great question. I think I'll answer the last one first. Maybe
Okay. Yeah.
I I really really want to help people. I really want to be a teacher of sorts. I've always, ever since, well, my entire life actually, I've loved helping people with stuff, whether that was a sport or it's a video game or whatever. Me teaching someone something and then
Yeah.
seeing their life improve in a tangible way is just, it's amazing for me. And it's I don't know if I believe in being born to do something, but if I did,
Mm.
I would definitely be born to do this, right? Like I just love helping
Okay.
people with tangible thing.
Mm.
You asked if I have any recommendations for, or any things I read that was really really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Um, I like a lot of mindset stuff.
Mm.
That like actually makes me go, okay, I have never thought about it like that. So this could be, for example, there's a book I read when I was very young that made an impression on me. It was like a it was a book about a compound effect. So if you
Mm.
make a very
Mm.
small change today, but you do it every day for the rest of your life, that's going to be a very very
Yeah.
big one. Um,
Mm. Mm.
wish I remember what that name was of the book, but that
Okay.
was big for me. Also, a lot
Yeah.
of the habit stuff I've
Mm.
read was good. I like stuff like Atomic Habits. I've studied
Yep.
Brendon Burchard a lot. I think it's good. I think Tony
Okay.
Robbins can sometimes be very abstract, but he also has a lot of stuff that's very practical, and that helped me at times. But
Mm.
I think for me, a lot of the time, let's say I'm again facing the issues of having bad habits, and I want to. It wouldn't really be that I read 10 books and then 9 are useless and one is good.
Mm.
It would more be like I read 10 books and all of them have like maybe one or two golden nuggets or one concept that was good, and then the rest wasn't really applicable. So
Okay.
yeah, more like a mix
Mm.
of everything I've read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Makes sense. I asked that second question of why did you feel the need to share it, because when I was going through my personal, let's say, was on the financial education side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Financial development part of me. I was reading like The Millionaire Next Door or what's the Dave Ramsey's book? It escapes my mind. Or Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and I did not feel the need to share this gold mine for some reason, right? So it was like I would read it, all these things, and now in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why am I reading this now? Why did I not know about this like in school? It helped me change my relationship with finances, but I didn't feel like, oh my goodness, this is so good. It's changing how I live my life, and I need to share it. I never, I didn't feel that for some reason. So I was just interested in why did you feel like sharing? Because that's a good thing. That's a good thing to do. But just it didn't occur to me.
That's very interesting, because when I read Robert Kiyosaki or Grant Cardone or whatever, when it's personal finance related,
Yeah.
I feel the same as you. You know, I can read that for
Mm.
hours every day, and I can be like, oh man, this is great. I've shaken Grant Cardone's hand at one of his seminars and stuff like that. I love personal finance,
Okay.
but for some reason I don't feel the urge to teach it. Maybe that will come, but right now I don't have it. Same thing with health. I
Okay.
love reading about how the body works and stuff like that.
Mm.
I just don't want to teach it. So that is a good
Yeah.
question that I actually don't have the answer to.
Huh.
Why is it that with personal development, I want to teach it
Right.
to everyone, but everything else, I just don't have that urge?
Huh. Okay.
Good
No, that's fine.
question.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth looking more into, because I'm also more drawn to having these kinds of conversations about personal growth. And I would share tips with other people, like, hey, I learned about this, and if you're trying to build a habit, maybe you should change this little aspect of your life, so that, I mean, that to me, I can share about it. But when it comes to finances, this is for me. I'm gonna keep it right here. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to the business part of it. Well, first of all, how old are you, if I may ask?
I am 24, so I can still consider myself a bit young.
Okay. And so, what was the biggest obstacle that you ran into as you were trying to start this thing that closely resembles a business at the time?
Well, first of all, I was really bad at business, right? Because I was new at it. So
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
basically competing with people who were like Brendan Burchard or Tony Robbins. I was competing with the best people in the world, which as a young newbie is very difficult. But also, I think I was very vague. I was kind of like you and I talked
Mm.
about before, with personal development being such a big thing. I
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
wanted to help everyone with everything, you know. And when people
Yeah.
ask me,
Okay.
but what exactly do you do? I was like, I just help people
Yeah.
build better lives. And they're like, yeah, but what does that mean? Like, are you cutting
Right.
their hair? Or are you mowing their lawns? Or what are you doing?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I just want to help everyone with everything, you know. And that was my problem
Mm.
for a lot of years. Actually,
Okay.
pretty much for most of my trial and error with business has been that. So now I've really dialed it in.
Okay.
Which is good, which is very good for yeah.
Yeah. So in a sense, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying that it was the process of identifying your audience that was the biggest obstacle, right? You didn't have a particular audience, so you were throwing a big net trying to catch everything, where you should be focusing on one particular type of fish, so to speak.
Right, the audience, but also just as much what I would help the audience with. So even let's say I knew that I wanted
Okay.
to work with
Yeah.
25-year-old male entrepreneurs, I would still be going like, I want to help them with everything, you know. I want to
Okay. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that was still, so now I've gotten more clear on who we help, which is mostly people they have some success and momentum at their career. Oftentimes they're
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs or freelancers, stuff like that, and they are doing well in their career, but they want to do better in their personal lives. They want to build a life that is more balanced. And when I say balance, I don't mean stop your career or stop your business or work less or whatever. I
Mm.
mean design a life where your business or your job aligns with your values, like your health or your relationships or your hobbies or whatever. So that's the main thing we work with now.
Okay. Well, let me just put you on the spot, and let's assume that I'm a client. I'm coming to
Mm-hmm.
you, and I let's say for some reason I've decided to start a third business. I have two successful ones. They're both brand identity based companies. They're doing well. I decided to start a third one, and it's taking a lot of my time. I don't have to worry about these other two because they're already running at scale. Everything is already systemized. But then I'm starting to spend 10, 12 hours on this other new business, and my family life is starting to crumble a little bit, and so I'm coming to you to help me out. What's your process to take me on as a client? Like what does it look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first step of everything is clarity. And that doesn't sound
Okay.
sexy. I know it would be way more interesting if I said download this app or go through this
Yeah.
7-step checklist. But the very first thing is clarity, and
Mm.
no one has it. This isn't
Okay.
just entrepreneurs or normal job people, whatever. No one has proper clarity. If you ask me, it's like go ask anyone you meet on the streets where they would like to be with their health in 6 months and what that even means. Maybe they'll say,
Yeah.
well, I would like to be more fit. Well, what does that mean? You want more
Right.
muscle,
Right.
less fat, you want better cardio, you want better skin. What does that mean? So
Mm.
first of all, if you came to me and you said you wanted to balance your work for a better family life, I would say, what does that even mean? What does family life mean to you? What do you want? What's the perfect scenario? You would say, well, I would like more time. More time. What's that? Is that an hour a day? Is it
Yeah.
30 hours a week? Or so clarity. And an example of this is when I take on a client, we'll not just look at one area of their lives, we'll look at all of the values they have that are important to them. So for example, and this doesn't have to be an area of their lives, but for me, something that is really important to me is confidence, actually. If I'm confident, I'm a better businessman. I'm a better boyfriend. I'm a better brother. I'm better in every way when I'm
Okay.
confident.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is I would then identify all of these values for the client that are extremely important for the client to be happy, but also to be maximizing their potential. And this, let's say, one of them is confidence for me, right? Then I would dive even deeper and I would go into the layers and I would say, okay, what
Yeah.
makes me confident? Well, one thing could be that I know I'm working the best that I can at my business. Another one is looking good. A third one is whatever, right? And then you can actually dive even deeper and say, looking good. What does that mean? Is that your physique? Is
Yeah.
that how you dress? Is that your hair? Is that your skin? What does that mean? And so then what
Okay.
we'll do is we'll kind of build this entire like vision where at the top you have, this is my life, and then you have these pillars where one of them could be confidence, like it is with mine, or one of them could be having a great relationship with your wife. And then you kind of dive deeper and dive deeper and dive deeper. Once we have the very little, the small steps that make up the small steps that make up the small step of the, then we can start building systems around that, right? So, for example, if I want to work out of my business to be confident, then we would build systems that made it easy and sustainable and consistent for me to, well, consistently work
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So if I can summarize all that, I would say specificity, right? The more specific that you are about the problem that you're trying to solve, the easier it becomes to find the solutions that would address that problem. So instead of saying, I want to be rich, it's like, well, let's be a bit more specific. Let's say you, instead of saying I want to be rich, okay, I want to make, for example, like $100,000 a year. Okay. And then, so you become more and more specific so that the dream is not just rich, because what does that mean? Right. Ambiguity. So is that a good summary? So avoid
100%.
ambiguity. Okay. Avoid
Yeah, I would
ambiguity
much
and
rather, yeah, instead of
go ahead.
someone saying, I wanna make more money. Okay, cool. Here's $1. Now what?
Right.
And then, okay,
Yeah.
I wanna make $20,000 a month. Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
what kind of margins are we talking about? Or you want to make, you want to make $500 off of that, or you want a 90% profit margin, or what do you want there?
Right.
And
Right.
and and just clarity in business in general is really important, because sometimes what I'll see is we'll have an entrepreneur, for example, or a business owner who more than anything loves traveling, right? He wants freedom, but he's built a
Yeah.
business where he is attached to a location. Let's say he's built an office, and an
Yeah.
office culture where you have to go there every day. So he's at the office now 60 hours per week, when in reality, there are entrepreneurs out there making way more money than he is, maybe, but they still have the freedom. They still have the opportunity to sit at a cafe on Bali or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can definitely have a business at $80,000 a month that is killing your life, and you can have a business that makes $80,000 a month that gives you everything you've ever wanted in your life. It's just about how it's designed, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, well, the example that we just gave of like walking me through the process as your client, what are you finding, what do you when you once you've found a client, once you've given them a system for them to follow, what are some of the biggest obstacles that are keeping people from going through with the process? So, for example, if you tell me, if my goal is to gain more time with my family, and then let's say you prescribe to me, okay, hey, maybe you might have to give up, instead of like running in, 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning, you might want to spend that time with your kid before he goes to school. So then, you're spending more time with the family, then you can transfer the workout time to later on, after work. I have the system, you've prescribed it to me, but then I come to you like, hey man, I don't know, I find myself not waking up on time, or just missing this part of it. Like the execution is not happening, right? So I have the right ingredients. I'm not putting the ingredients together in the way that we agreed upon. What does it look like when you're trying to advise someone in this case?
Yeah. First of all, before I answer that, I would like to say that the hardest part by far, like completely by far, is the clarity part. Once people have dialed the vision in as much as we have when I work with a client, you take overwhelm away, you take procrastination. Oftentimes you take that away. So that's by far the hardest part. So once you because people don't often know what it is that they actually want. Like they struggle being that specific. So that's a very difficult thing for them to fill out with me. But let's say we've filled that out and they're still struggling with overwhelm or procrastination or stuff like that. Oftentimes it's because they want to rely on. Well, I'll say there's two reasons. Well, two main reasons. First one is that they want to rely on things like willpower and motivation instead of building a system around it. We've all seen it at the gym, for example. The people that look like superheroes are the people that are there not just when it's convenient, not just when they can convince themselves to go, but people who say, I work out after work on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Those are the people that really see the results, because there's a system, and once there's a system, it becomes more automatic. It becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of your schedule. So that's one part of it, is that leave as little as you possibly can to you making a decision. It should just be automatic, just be a system. Another thing is people want to go fast when in reality, and this is going to sound weird, going the slow way is much, much faster than going the fast way. What I mean by that is, if you want to go the fast way, I know, I see, it sounds weird. Let's say you want to go the fast way with weight loss, right? What does that mean? Well, let's maybe buy some fad diet of a magazine where you only eat Kenyan herbs and weird berries for 12 days, and then you lose 40 pounds, whatever, right? Some crazy, ridiculous diet like that. That's what a lot of people are attracted to, it's build a profitable business in 8 days, or get 20 Tinder dates within tonight, or whatever, right? And that's the fast way. The problem with that is it's very often solid, it's often unreliable, it's often overwhelming. Like, if you put me on a diet where I can only eat salad and cucumber for 8 days or whatever, I would last 12 minutes, dude. I would last 12 minutes and I would lose. And that's what a lot of people do. They want to just, whereas what I would do, and what I've done with a ton of clients, and for example, that primarily wanted to improve their health, is I would say, look, all you got to do is drink a glass of water when you wake up. I don't care if you eat 2 bags of chips at night. I don't care if you
Okay.
whatever. I don't give an F. The only thing
Yeah.
I care about is that from now on, every single morning, you drink 1 glass of water. Guess what? The next thing, once that is a system, which it'll pretty easy, it'll be pretty easily and pretty fast. Then you build the next little thing, and the next little thing, next little thing, and that sounds really slow. The thing
Okay.
is, people often take a look at themselves, maybe 2 months after or 3 months after, and they go, I've achieved everything I wanted. Like I've lost
Yeah.
20 pounds, or I'm actually starting to get clients in my business, or I'm actually starting to get dates,
Yeah.
or whatever it is that people buy these fast solutions for. So I would say the fastest and most effective, most consistent, and also most effortless approach to progress in life is to go the slow way, quote unquote, which is set up a system and then scale it. And then to answer your question, what do we do when people procrastinate? Well, we go smaller. We go smaller. Like
Okay.
if you
Okay.
actually struggle with promising me and then living up to it that you're gonna drink a glass of water every day you wake up the next, every day. Well, then we say every 2 days or every 3 days. And I don't care how small it is. The tricky
Yeah.
part about all this is getting started. It's not difficult to scale a habit. It's not difficult if you've consistently gone to the gym 2 days a week for a couple of weeks, dude. It's the easiest thing in the world. Scaling that to 3 days a week. It's the easiest thing in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
The difficult part is getting started. So that's what I would say to anyone listening to this. If you have the clarity on something you want to improve on, just make the thing as small as you need, even like ridiculously small, and then scale the habit once you've built a system around it. So yeah, those are the two things. And by the way, when I say build a system around it, I mean, again, instead of saying I go to the gym whenever I feel like it, you can say I go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday after work. Instead of saying I'll study some Robert Kiyosaki once in a while, you say,
Yeah.
you know what, when I'm eating breakfast in the mornings, instead of being on my phone scrolling Facebook, I'll spend those 15 minutes watching YouTube on Robert Kiyosaki or Dave Ramsey or whatever you want to study.
Yeah.
So that's a system, and you can scale that and make it consistent. So
Okay, I like that because that falls right in line with how I approach building new habits. Terrible at it, but whenever I'm actually stick to it, the way that I look at it, the things that works for me is what is the smallest step that I can take towards the goal that I want to achieve. So if I'm trying to sleep, for example, like 8 hours every day, I'm like, okay, well, I'm pretty terrible at scrolling through YouTube. I like YouTube, scrolling through YouTube until like midnight. So, and then having to wake up at 6 a.m. So I'm like, well, maybe if I stop at 11:55, can I stop scrolling through YouTube at 11:55 every day for 2 weeks? And sometimes I'm able to do it, but then other times I am not. But here's a successful example that I can give. I think it was like this summer, yeah, maybe around June, last week of June, 4th week of June. I decided, you know what, this whole scrolling through Instagram and X now, which was Twitter. I'm spending a lot of time. Like when I looked at the screen time on my iPhone that I spent on Twitter and Twitter, X and Instagram was too much. So I was like, well, I'm gonna set up there's like a timer system in the settings where you can set the maximum amount of time. So I was like, well, can I do 1 hour on each application? And I did that for 2 weeks. I was like, okay, well, can I scale it back so that it's 1 hour and between, like, both combined be 1 hour? Okay, that worked. Now we are in November and I'm down to 45 minutes on both of them combined. Right? So in any 24-hour time period, the most I can use Instagram and X combined is 45 minutes. I don't feel like I've lost a lot. And now at this point, I've built the habit, right, of just not using any more than 45 minutes on both applications. So, but if I had gone from spending those 2-3 hours a day on each application to 20 minutes each application a day right away, it would have been just catastrophic. I'd have been back to where I was before. So maybe this is a good summary is whenever you go from one extreme to another, you probably want to pause, especially if there isn't a lot of time in between. So if you're going from being a sloth to running a marathon within a week, hey, scale it back. Is that a good summary?
Yeah, love it.
Okay, perfect. Well, okay, so then, what does the next 5 years look like for you and the and your endeavors? Well, actually, before you answer that, I'm gonna throw you a curveball that has nothing to do with that, and then we're gonna come back to it. What is your like your absolute earliest memory that you can think of?
Damn.
Like as far back as you can go.
How old are you when you start learning to ride a bike? I don't know how. Is that 5 years old, 6 years old?
4 or 5, yeah, probably.
4. I don't know what age that is, but I remember. I don't know if that is custom all over the world, but in Denmark, it's kind of like tradition that when your kid is learning to ride a bike, your father has like a broomstick or whatever in the bike.
Huh. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see on your face that's not something you do. And so that kind of works as like safety or whatever, right? So the little kid, so the kid is riding the bike, and then the father walks behind, kind of like controlling the bike so you don't fall, right? I think that's the earliest memory I can think of right now. Me learning that and him being behind. Yeah, it was just right the street right next to where I grew up. Yeah.
Okay, 4 or 5 years old. Okay, huh? I grew up in Mozambique, so the way that I learned how to ride a bike is jeepers. This is my earliest memory when it comes to bike riding. Right, so it's a road and a bunch of kids. Like you get on a bike and then one kid pushes you and then they let go, right? And then your feet are so short you can't like dangle yet. Like it was not like a proper age like a bike for my age, so my feet couldn't like reach to the pedals, and I didn't know how to pedal. So you just like ride that momentum until the bike runs out of momentum, and then you just fall. But on the sides of the road there was thorns left and right, so I remember like riding it and then thinking, man, I'm slowing down, and then I finally stopped, and then I just fell right into thorns, and I'm taking thorns left and right, and the kids are laughing their butts off. But
what was that on purpose that you did it in between thorns?
No, I have no choice. It's just that's just how the road was. Is instead of like it's a dirt road, and you just have thorns left and right, and that's how you mark the road, I suppose. Yeah, not fun. But anyways, so that's your absolute earliest memory, huh?
I think so.
Okay. And what's your current favorite song? If you could pick one.
Favorite song? Too
many to choose
Once again, very good question. I think it would have to be something maybe a little bit cheesy, maybe a little bit like Eminem, maybe the classic, is it Lose Yourself, whatever. I just feel like right now I'm in a phase in my business where I'm really starting to see some momentum. I start seeing, well, in multiple areas of my life, I really just feel I'm headed the right way and everything's going right, and I just want to like really make this happen. So I think it's the Lose Yourself song by Eminem, maybe, where he talks about this moment right here. Yeah.
You should read. Let me show you. You should read this book. A friend of mine suggested to me, The Power of Now. It's all about right now. I haven't fully read it yet. Or even read it, but
Eckhart Tolle, is that his name?
Let me see. Who is the title? Yeah.
Nice. I have it.
Tolle.
Yeah,
okay. It's on my list. I haven't read it either. A friend of mine suggested to me, so I have it on my list. So, what does the next 5 years look like for you? Or what are you planning?
I really, really want to make passion for achievement a big thing.
Okay.
I feel like that's a big thing. I feel like I have people from all over the world email me saying that I've helped them, and I feel like it's a good thing that we're doing, but I want it to be a big thing. I've always visualized going on a vacation to maybe
Mm-hmm.
France or whatever, and then
Yeah.
I'm at a cafe, and then after drinking my coffee or whatever, I leave the cafe, I go around the corner, and there someone says, "Wait, Daniel, is that you? I was your
Mm.
client, and since working with you, this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened." I want Passion for
Okay.
Achievement to be big enough so that I can actually have people all over the world that I could potentially meet stop me and say, "Daniel, by the way, this is what you've done for me."
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
huge. That's what I'm building towards right now.
Okay. That's odd, quite specific, and in the spirit of specificity, can you be a bit more specific when you mean big? International reach? Does that mean opening an agency? Like what? Like in different in different countries? What does big mean?
Well, right now we are in all English speaking countries, and then we're
Yeah.
in the countries in Europe that makes sense to be in. And I don't
Okay.
think that's going to change too much. I don't see
Okay.
myself ever really going big in like Asia or Africa or
Okay.
the Middle East or something like that. I think we'll
Okay.
stick to the countries we're in now, and then I just want to have a bigger impact in those markets. I want to do right now. Obviously, we're doing more personal stuff, right? Where I
Yeah.
actually take on clients and I work with them and make sure they. But I also want to build like smaller things that everyone can kind of have access to, like
Yeah.
low ticket memberships, and I want to do more ebooks. I want to do stuff like that. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You have a vision, and it sounds like you have steps to achieve that vision. So that's you are practicing the thing that you're preaching, which is good to hear. Daniel, thank you so much for coming to the Moses Kabandana podcast. Do you have any final thoughts? And if people wanna learn more about you and passion and your company, and like where do they go? Where do they find you?
yeah, absolutely. I just want to finish off by saying that to every listener here, I would definitely just recommend figuring out what it is that you want in life, and then make the first starting step as small as possible, and then get started and then build a system around that. If anyone wants to um, you know check out my company, the company is called Passion for the number 4 achievement. So that's passion the number 4 achievement.com, and on there will be a free little, there's no email opt-in or anything, there's like a free little ebook PDF. It's called the World Class Life, and that's a little
Hmm.
clarity tool that you can grab if you want. Other than that, yeah,
Okay.
I don't. Yeah,
Man, thank you so much for stopping in. Hopefully, we'll get to have another conversation like this in the future sometime.
I would love to.
Just, yeah, yeah, yeah.